Hello everyone. I hope all of you are doing good and safe at your home. From today, we will start SST in our school. If you look at the course of the SST, so in history we have to study 4 chapters. The first one is nationalism in Europe and the second one is nationalism in India. Since we are studying online, so we would like to start second chapter first, that is nationalism in India. Because about India, you know and you have studied in your previous classes also. We would like to teach nationalism in Europe in the classes on the board, right? So let us begin with the nationalism in India. In this chapter, we'll try to find out that how the people of India have generated the feeling of the nationalism. And when we say nationalism, right, so this nationalism word, what does it mean, right? So let us begin here with this same thing. Here if you look at, like when you study the chapter nationalism in India, so you will get to know that nationalism word in Europe came to be associated with the formation of nation state. Nation state means a country whose geographical boundary is being decided with a centralized administration system, as well as there is no interference of any foreign powers. Right? So with the same thing, if you look at, nationalism means having a nation where no foreign interference is there, as well as a centralized administrative system would be there. Rights of the citizen will be secured. It also meant a change in people's understanding of who they were and what defined their identity and sense of belonging. Right? Here if we try to find out that formation of the nation state is based on the identity of the people and sense of belongingness. Means, for example, if we talk about India, so the people of Jammu and Kashmir and people of Tamil Nadu, while the people of Assam or people of Gujarat, they all have a sense of belongingness with this nation. They have an identity which connects them together, right? Why? Because how this nationalism came, this can be reflected. First of all, if you look at, this can be reflected with the symbols, with the icons, with the new songs, the ideas forced new links and redefine the boundaries of the communities. And in most of the countries, the making of this new national identity was a long process, right? Means when we are talking about the nationalism, you must have seen on 15th August or on 26th January, people are having their national flag in their hands. They sang patriotic song, right? They believe in the democracy. They praise about our constitution. All of these symbols, icons, they read the stories of our patriots, or you can say the people who fought for the national struggle. They sing patriotic songs, right? They came up with new ideas of the democracy. All of this thing are the belongingness of them towards their nation. And the formation or development of such identity was a long process, not only in Europe but also in India, right? So now we will look at how this consciousness, how this awareness, how this feeling of the nationalism generated in our country, India. So in India, if we talk about, we were the colony of the Britishers. And not only India, there are many colonies in the world who have developed the feeling of the nationalism with the same process as us, right? And what was this same process? It's not only the cultural identity but the sense of being oppressed under colonialism provided a shared bond that tied many different groups together. What does it mean? जिसने तुम्हें थप्पड़ मारा उसने ही मुझे थप्पड़ मारा, इसलिए मैं तुम्हारे साथ हूँ, right? You understood what I'm trying to say? The sense of being oppressed under colonialism provided a shared bond that tied many different groups together. People in Tamil Nadu and Kerala were also oppressed by the Britishers, as like the northern people of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar or Jammu and Kashmir or Assam or Gujarat. right? And that's why they have shared a bond together that have connected them, right? But each class and group felt the effect of colonialism differently. What does it mean? That people, let's say peasant have felt the effect of the colonialism differently. How they felt the effect of colonialism differently? They were being forced by the Britishers to cultivate indigo or to cultivate cotton or to work in tea plantation, right? Workers were being forced to work in the factory at less wages. Their working hours were very long, right? While the people in the town were facing the problem of high taxes, right? People in the villages were facing the problem of the forced recruitment, right? Industrialists were facing the problem of less import duties, and that is why their products were very expensive in our country. So these were the different groups. They and these groups felt the effect of the colonialism differently. But since they all were being oppressed by the Britishers, so they have shared a bond together. Their experiences were varied, their notions of the freedom were not always the same. When we will study this chapter, we will see the example of the Goodham Rebellion, we will see the example of the Awadh peasant movement, right? And then we will see what their notion of freedom was there. They were not the same. When Gandhiji started the non-cooperation movement, they have not understood the meaning of the non-cooperation movement, right? They felt that leaving the plantation works is the freedom. They felt that reduction in the revenues is the freedom, right? So this is what that their freedom of notion were very different from one another, right? And how, since all of them were facing different types of problem, their problems were different, their effect of colonialism were different, their experience were varied, their notion of freedom were not the same. That is why they were not being able to fight against the Britishers together. And this work was being done by the Mahatma Gandhi. The Congress under Mahatma Gandhi tried to force these groups together within one movement, but the unity did not emerge without conflict. Though Gandhiji have created an umbrella under which the different groups came together and fought for the freedom from the Britishers, but all of this thing did not happen very easily. This unity did not emerge without conflict, right? So one reason how the feeling of the nationalism can be generated is the sense of being oppressed under colonialism provided a shared bond that tied different groups together, right? You remember this. Once we move to the last subunit of this chapter, we'll see how this sense of collective belongingness happened in India. One reason is this, and second one is the cultural reasons, right? That is why we were together during the freedom struggle, and that is how, because of these two reasons, right, India was being able to generate the feeling of the nationalism. And it is not only the story of the India, it happened in most of the colonies, not only of Britishers, also of French or Dutches, right? Now if you look at that, the growth of the nationalism in India up to the first decade of 20th century, and in this chapter here we will study the story of the freedom struggle from 1920 onwards. Means we have to cover the two major events of our freedom struggle. One is the non-cooperation movement, and second one is the civil disobedience movement. In short, we will always refer non-cooperation movement as NCM, while the civil disobedience movement as CDM. Now we will explore how the Congress sought to develop this national movement, how different social groups participated in the movement, and how nationalism captured the imagination of the people. One more thing I would like to inform you all that pictures, boxes, references are also important from the point of view of examination. So we will look at these pictures also. Now look at this picture. What this picture is depicting, it is image of 6 April 1919. On 6th April 1919, a nationwide Hartal was being launched by the Gandhiji against the Rowlatt Act. A Rowlatt Act, we will study about the Rowlatt Act just after some time, right? So mass procession on the streets became a common feature during the national movement, right? People everywhere, in towns, in villages, in different cities, right? So mass procession was a very common feature of the freedom struggle of our India, and this particular image is being shown here is of 6th April 1919, right? Now move to the first subunit of this chapter, that is the First World War, Khilafat and non-cooperation, right? Now look at the points of this first subunit. Now if you look at in the year after 1919, we see the national movement spreading to new areas, incorporating new social groups and developing new modes of struggle. How do we understand these developments? What implication did they have? Okay, now look at here. Since our first in our country, when the Britishers were ruling us, so the First World War happened from 1914 to 1918, right? And what happened this time? Since in the First World War, from the side of the Allied countries, Britishers were, or UK was one of the country of the Allied countries, right? And United Kingdom, or you can say Britain, was ruling us, right? And whenever such a kind of war used to happen, either it is First World War or the Second World War or the geographical territory conflicts, right? So we can say that war always create economic and political situation. So in the case of the First World War also, it created a new economic and political situation, right? What does it mean? That since the Britishers were the part of the First World War, so it led to a huge increase in the defense expenditure, right? They have to spend a lot of money to the army in order to fight in the First World War. And First World War happened from 1914 to 1918, right? And this expenditure was being financed by the war loans and increasing taxes, right? Countries, nations used to take war loans in order to fight for the war, right? And this loan they need to repay it after the war, right? And how they used to get the money for the war along with the war loans is the increasing taxes on the people, right? And in India too, the custom duties were raised. First point, right? What effect the First World War had in our country? First thing is the custom duties were raised, and then second thing we can say the income tax introduced. Remember it, income tax was being introduced during this time period, right? In different examination this can be asked. Third thing, since income tax introduced and custom duties were being raised, during the war years, prices of the commodities increased and almost doubling between 1913 and 1918. Means the thing which were being sold in the market for rupees 10, by 1918 it was being sold in rupees 20, right? Though the salary and the wages and the production in the factories were not being increasing, and this led to extreme hardship for the common people. Common people were not being able to afford this doubling rates of the commodities, right? Villagers were being called upon to supply soldiers, right? In the villages, people were being called to being a soldier to fight in the First World War from the side of the Britishers, right? The forced recruitment, right? If the people are not willing to fight in the war, they were forcibly being recruited in the army, especially in the rural areas, right? Forced recruitment is a new word you can see here also, a process by which the colonial state forced people to join the army, right? Colonial state forced people to join the army, and it mostly happened in the rural areas. And due to this, a widespread anger happened in the rural areas as well as in the whole nation, right? Then this is not the end, right? We have seen the three effects. First one is the custom duties were raised, second one is income tax introduced, third one is that prices being increased, and fourth one is the forced recruitment, right? Now between 1918 and 19 and 1920 and 21, these 2 years were very crucial. Why? Because crops failed, right? Due to climatic condition, crops failed in many parts of the India, resulting in acute shortage of food. And this was means famine was there. We can say what was there, famine was there, shortage of food was there. And this was accompanied by an influenza epidemic, right? Like right now we are facing the corona pandemic disease, right? At that time it was influenza epidemic, and due to this condition, due to this influenza epidemic, people died. A lot of people, many number of people died, and this result in the census of 1921, right? The number of population decreased by 12 to 13 million people, right? 12 to 13 million people perished as a result of famine and the epidemic. That is why this census of 1921 is also being called as Great Year of Divide. After 1921, when the population of India was being calculated, it was being considered as, till now it is the highest number in decrease of the population. That is why 1921 is being called as Great Year of Divide. So what happened? We have seen, due to the First World War effect on the India, that custom duties were raised, income tax introduced, prices increased, almost doubled between 1913 and 1918, and this led to extreme hardship for the people. Forced recruitment happened, crops failed in 1918-19 and 1920-21, and this resulted to acute shortage of food, and then influenza epidemic. This led to 12 to 13 million people perished due to the famine and the epidemic, right? So due to the First World War, these were the problem that people faced in our country. Though people hoped that their hardship would end after the war, right? But that did not happen. They thought, since they are giving a lot to the Britishers, they are giving their soldiers, they are paying high prices to the commodities, their taxes were being increased, custom duties were being increased, right? But still they thought that after the war the Britishers would show some sympathy, or they would relax them from all of these things, but this did not happen. And at this stage, a new leader appeared and suggested a new mode of struggle. You can guess who was the leader? Yes, the leader was Mahatma Gandhi, and a new mode of struggle was the non-violence, or the idea of Satyagraha. Right now, if we talk about Mahatma Gandhi returned to India in January 1915. As you all know that he had come from South Africa, where he had successfully fought for the racial discrimination of the people. Right, the racist regime with the novel method of mass agitation, which he called Satyagraha, and he had given the idea of the Satyagraha. What was the idea of Satyagraha? The Satyagraha, the first Satyagraha was being done by the Gandhiji in the South Africa, right? It's a novel method of mass agitation. The idea of satyagraha emphasized. Now, if the question is being asked what you meant by satyagraha or what is the idea of satyagraha given by the Gandhiji, you remember this paragraph properly and listen it and try to understand it also. The idea of satyagraha emphasized the power of truth and the need to search for the truth, right? सच की ताकत और सच को ढूंढने की ज़रूरत, right? The idea of satyagraha emphasized the power of truth and need to search for truth, right? Then again Gandhiji said that if the cause was true and if the struggle was against injustice, then physical force was not necessary to fight the oppressor, राइट अगर आपका कॉज सही है, आपका स्ट्रगल इनजस्टिस के अगेंस्ट है, तो आपको शारीरिक ताकत की ज़रूरत नहीं है अपने विरोधियों से लड़ने के लिए. विदाउट सीकिंग वेनेजियंस मीन्स द रेबल और यू कैन से रिवेंज, राइट? विदाउट सीकिंग रिवेंज और वेनेजियंस और बीइंग अग्रेसिव, a satyagrahi could win the battle through non-violence. Here he has explained that without the feeling of the revenge, a satyagrahi could win the battle through non-violence against the injustice being done by the oppressor. And this could be done by appealing to the conscience of the oppressor, right? How it can be done? That when we will appeal the conscience of the oppressor, right? People including the oppressor had to be persuaded to see the truth. आपको पीछे उनके लगना पड़ेगा, you have to persuade them to see the truth. ट्रुथ को देखना पड़ेगा, उनको देखने के लिए कहना पड़ेगा, इंस्टेड ऑफ बीइंग फोर्स टू एक्सेप्ट ट्रुथ. इंस्टेड ऑफ ज़बरदस्ती शारीरिक ताकत के दम पर अगर आप उनसे सच को एक्सेप्ट करवाते हो तो दैट वोंट stay longer, rather than if you can appeal the conscience of the oppressor, so the oppressor would understand his fault, and without any vengeance, without any struggle, without being aggressive, a satyagrahi could win the battle with the non-violence. Right? You understood the idea of satyagraha? You need to remember 3 points. First one, that satyagraha emphasized the power of truth and the need to search for truth. Second one, if the cause was true and if the struggle was against the injustice, then physical force was not necessary to fight the oppressor. Third one, that this can be done by appealing to the conscience of the oppressor. People including the oppressor had to be persuaded to see the truth, and by this way, without seeking vengeance or being aggressive, a satyagrahi could win the battle through non-violence. And lastly, you can conclude, by this struggle, truth was bound to ultimately triumph. Right? जीत हमेशा सत्य की ही होगी, ये बाउंड है. Right? And Mahatma Gandhi believed that this dharma of non-violence could unite all Indians. Right? This non-violence dharma would unite all the Indians together. I hope you understand the idea of the satyagraha. Now moving to the next thing. Once the Gandhiji arrived in India in 1915, he successfully organized satyagraha movement. Right? What satyagraha movement he done? Right? Gandhiji has done the experiment of satyagraha at 3 places. Right? First one was in 1916. This is your map work too. Right? You look at here. In 1916, Gandhiji travelled to Champaran in Bihar. Champaran is a place in Bihar where the peasants were facing a lot of problem due to oppressive plantation system. They were being forced by the Britishers to cultivate indigo. Right? Indigo was being exported to the Britain to dye their clothes. Right? So, since oppressive plantation system was being done there, so Gandhiji moved there and he did his first satyagraha in Champaran, Bihar in 1916. Then in the next year only, in 1917, Gandhiji organized a satyagraha to support the peasants of the Kheda district of Gujarat. In Gujarat, there is a Kheda district, and peasants over there was facing the problem of high revenue. Right? Their crops affected due to crop failure. A plague epidemic happened. So peasants of Kheda was not being able to pay the revenue to the Britishers. Right? While they wanted some relaxation in the revenue, but government or the Britishers were not being accepting the revenue relaxation, and that is why Gandhi ji organized Satyagraha to support these peasants in the Kheda district of Gujarat, right? And now the third Satyagraha was being done by the Gandhi ji. He went to Ahmedabad to organize this Satyagraha amongst cotton mill workers. These cotton mill workers in Ahmedabad was facing a lot of problem due to poor working conditions, low wages, and more number in number of working hours were very long. So in order to protest against the Britishers in the cotton mill for the cotton mill workers, the third Satyagraha was being done by the Gandhiji in 1918. Now moving to the next topic, that is the Rowlatt Act, right? Now what happened that the Satyagraha of the Gandhiji was very successful, right? And at that same time, Britishers proposed a Rowlatt Act in 1919. What this Rowlatt Act said, that this act was being hurriedly passed, right? Means that it was not being discussed much, and it has many problems, though it was being passed by the Imperial Legislative Council, right? And despite the united opposition of the Indian members in the Imperial Legislative Council were opposing this act, but it was being hurriedly passed, right? Why it was creating problem, or why the Indian members were opposing this act? Because it gave the government enormous powers to repress political activity, right? How they will repress the political activity? It allowed detention of political prisoner without trial for 2 years. Means if you are being included, or if you are being part of any political activity, so you can be sent, or you can be detained, right? Without trial. Means you don't have to go to court for the trial, right? It is not being asked whether you are right or wrong. You were being detained almost for 2 years, right? So this was against the Indian political system. That is why Indian members in the Imperial Legislative Council opposed it, but it was hurriedly passed by the Britishers, and Gandhiji was also against. So he decided to launch a nationwide satyagraha against this Rowlatt Act. Mahatma Gandhi wanted a non-violent movement, civil disobedience movement, right? What does it mean? He did not wanted any violence, right? He just wanted that unjust laws should not be followed. Unjust laws should not be followed, and he had led a nationwide hartal on 6th April. On the first page, we have seen the image of the 6th April 1919, where people were protesting against the government, right? The same thing happened about this event. The picture was there, right? Now we will see how this hartal was being organized. Before coming to the hartal organization, let us see this picture also. We have left this picture. This is the figure 2. You can see Indian workers in South Africa marched through Foxtrust 6th November 1913. Right? It was the first satyagraha done by the Gandhiji in the South Africa against the racist regime. Right? Mahatma Gandhi was leading the workers from Newcastle to the Transvaal when the marchers were stopped, and Gandhiji arrested thousands of more workers joined the satyagraha against racist laws that denied right to non-whites. In South Africa, in the class 9th in the constitutional design chapter, you have studied about the apartheid system. So racist laws were there, and non-whites were not getting their rights. Right, so against this only the Gandhiji organized satyagraha on 6 November 1913 in the South Africa, and in January 1915 he returned to India. In India, he did 3 experiments of satyagraha. One is the 1916 Champaran, Bihar, against the oppressive indigo plantation work. Second one was 1917 Kheda district of Gujarat against the high revenue collection. And third one is 1918 in Ahmedabad in order to support the cotton mill workers. Now we'll again come back to the Rowlatt Act, right? In the Rowlatt Act, we have seen the Hartal was being organized on the 6th April. So what were the things that happened in the Rowlatt Act? First of all, the rallies were organized in various cities, right? People came in a procession and rallies were being organized. Then workers went on strike. Workers who were working in factories, railway workshop, they all stopped their work, right? They did strike. Third thing, the shops closed down, right? All the shops were being closed down in the cities. Alarmed by the popular upsurge and scared that lines of communication such as the railways and telegraph would be disrupted, right? Britishers have the fear that the line of the communication such as railway and telegraph would be disrupted. Britishers decided to clamp down the nationalists. They wanted to suppress the nationalists. They wanted to suppress this hartal or satyagraha done by the Gandhiji. And how did they suppress it? The local leaders were picked from the Amritsar, right? From Amritsar, all the local leaders were being picked up. Mahatma Gandhi was barred from entering Delhi, right? It was like Mahatma Gandhi was being banned to enter into the Delhi. And on 10th April, the police in Amritsar fired upon a peaceful procession, right? Asking for their right against the Rowlatt Act was going, and fire was being opened on them, right? This provoked the widespread attacks, right? People all over the India, people were being provoked by this fire, right? And they started attacking on all the government institutions such as banks, post offices, railway stations, etc. And by seeing all of this condition, martial law was being imposed and General Dyer took command, right? Martial law was being imposed. Martial law means military's rule would be there, and General Dyer took the command in order to handle the situation. And how he handled the situation, let us look at. This has begun, right? Because of this event, a major event happened. This is still being considered. This is like so many people were being killed, and all of you know that very infamous Jallianwala Bagh incident, right? When did it happen? Just after 3 days, on 13th April 1919, the infamous Jallianwala Bagh incident took place. And on that day, a crowd of villagers who had come to Amritsar, right? The villagers did not know about the martial law, and at that time Vaisakhi festival was being celebrated, and they came to Amritsar to attend a fair and gathered in an enclosed ground of Jallianwala Bagh. Inside the Jallianwala Bagh, a fair was there. They came to celebrate the Vaisakhi, right? And these villagers did not know about the martial law. Since General Dyer took the command, right? See, being from outside the city, they were unaware of the martial law and that had been imposed. Dyer entered the area. General Dyer entered the area. He blocked the exit points and opened fire on the crowd, right? Exit points were being blocked. All the people were there inside the Jallianwala Bagh, and he had given order to open fire. Hundreds of the people were being killed. His object, as he declared later, what was the objective of the General Dyer of this incident? He wanted to produce a moral effect, right? By killing innocent Indians, villagers, he wanted to produce a moral effect. Later on, he declared about it. And to create in the minds of the Satyagrahis a feeling of terror and awe, right? So that they would be terrorized and they would not repeat such kind of activity. That is why General Dyer given the order to open the fire on the Jallianwala Bagh by closing the exit points. And this very infamous Jallianwala Bagh incident took place on 13th April 1919, right? Then what happened? Due to this Jallianwala Bagh incident, and when the news spread all over the India about this incident, crowd took to the streets in many North Indian towns. In most of the North Indian towns, people gathered on the street, and there were strikes. People did strike classes with the police. In most of the places, there were fights with the police, and they attack on the government buildings. Crowd got agitated, they got angered, they started doing strikes. At many places they have clashes with the police, they attacked on the government buildings, and the government responded. And when all of these things started happening, again government wanted to suppress all of these things, and that is why government responded with brutal repression. Right, government has responded with brutal repression. And how did they do it? Seeking to humiliate and terrorize people. Right, they wanted to humiliate people and terrorize people, and that is why satyagrahis, people who were doing the satyagrah, people who were doing the strikes, people who were protesting against the government, they were being forced to rub their nose on the ground. Right, they have to go on the streets road, and they have to rub their nose on the ground. They have to crawl on the street, right, and do salam or salute to all sahibs. Sahibs here means Britishers or the police officers. Right, satyagrahis have to do salute to all Britishers, and people were flogged, and villages were being bombed. Right, more villages means around Guzarwala in Punjab. This place is now in Pakistan. Right, the villages were being bombed by the Britishers, and seeing violence spread. A lot of violence is happening while Gandhiji wanted to take the things with non-violence. He wanted to get the freedom from non-violence. The idea of the non-cooperation or idea of satyagraha was not being executed properly. That is why Mahatma Gandhi called off the movement. Mahatma Gandhi had called off the movement so that people stopped protesting, people stopped attacking on government buildings, so that they did not have to face the brutal repression of the government. Right, now you understood what happened. Rowlatt Act, then effect of Rowlatt Act on the people, and how the government suppressed it, and then how the Jallianwala Bagh incident happened. What was the effect of Jallianwala Bagh incident? Right, I think you have understood. You can see another picture here. This is figure 3. General Dyer's clogging orders being administered by British soldiers, Amritsar, Punjab. You can see here satyagrahis are clogging on the streets, and Britishers were forcing them to do this. Right, this is how they suppressed the satyagrahis during the time of freedom struggle. Right, now come to next topic, that is, while the Rowlatt Satyagraha had been a widespread movement, it was still limited mostly to the cities and towns. Okay, you remember this, that this Satyagraha happened and it was a widespread movement also, but villages were unaffected. Some villages nearby the Amritsar area in the Punjab was there, but in most of the North Indian cities and town it happened while the villages were quite away from this movement. And Mahatma Gandhi now felt the need to launch a more broad-based movement in India. Right, he wanted a more broad-based movement in India, right, the Satyagraha or the non-cooperation movement. But he was certain that no such movement could be organized without bringing the Hindus and Muslims closer together. Right, since in India Hindus and Muslims both were there, and it was not possible to have a broad based movement without making Hindus and Muslims unite together. And Gandhiji took this opportunity. How did he do it? One way of doing this, he felt, was to take up the Khilafat issue. Right, in the First World War, right, Turkey got defeated. Right, Turkey got defeated in the First World War. Right, the First World War had ended with the defeat of Ottoman Turkey. Turkey was one of the powerful, or you can say the main country of the Axis country against the Allied, Central Powers against the Allied, and Turkey got defeated. And the problem was there that the Muslims believed the Khalifa, right, there were rumors that a harsh peace treaty was going to be imposed on the Ottoman Emperor, right? It was being believed, it was being rumored that a harsh peace treaty would be imposed on the Ottoman Emperor, and this would reduce the temporal powers of the Khalifa. In the Turkey, the spiritual head of the Islamic world, the Khalifa, right, used to rule the country, right? So Islamic word spiritual head is Khalifa, and to defend the Khalifa's temporal power, Muslims all over the world did not want it to reduce the Khalifa's temporal power. They wanted to defend it. So in India also, a Khilafat committee was being formed in Bombay in March 1919. Right, in March 1919, a Khilafat committee was being formed in Bombay. A young generation of Muslim leaders like the brothers Muhammad Ali and the Shaukat Ali, we know them as Ali brothers, began discussing with Mahatma Gandhi about the possibility of a united mass action on the issue, right? They also wanted a mass agitation, mass action against the Britishers in order to defend the Khalifa's temporal power after the defeat of Ottoman Turkey. And Gandhiji took this opportunity. Gandhiji saw this as an opportunity to bring Muslims under the umbrella of a united national movement, right? By this way, if Gandhiji would support the Khilafat movement, so Muslims and Hindus can be united together. And at the Calcutta session of the Congress in September 1920, he convinced other leaders of the need to start a non-cooperation movement in support of Khilafat as well as for Swaraj. Now we'll see that Calcutta session of September 1920 was. Now the next topic is why non-cooperation. This non-cooperation movement, why Gandhiji wanted, he himself had make it understood in his very famous book Hind Swaraj. This Hind Swaraj book was being written by the Gandhiji in 1909, and Gandhiji has declared that the British rule was established in India with the cooperation of the Indians. If Indians would not cooperate with the Britishers, then Britishers couldn't have been survived in India. They have survived only because of this cooperation. So if Indian refused to cooperate, the British rule in India would collapse within a year and Swaraj would come. With this idea, he wanted a non-cooperation movement. And how could non-cooperation become a movement? Here if we talk about that, Gandhiji himself has proposed that the movement should unfold in stages. Right, and how this movement would unfold in stages? The first stage that it need to be done, that it should begin with the surrender of titles that the government awarded. Government used to award titles to the powerful Indians so that they can favor the Britishers. So this surrender of the titles needed to be done in the very first stage. The second stage should be a boycott of the civil services, army, police, courts and legislative councils, schools and foreign goods. What does it mean? That people who are working for the Britishers or British government, or people who are supporting them by using their institution or infrastructure, it all should stop. So boycott of civil services, army, police, courts, legislative councils, school as well as foreign goods, right? And third thing, that in case the government used a repression, or अगर गवर्नमेंट रिप्रेशन करती है, इफ गवर्नमेंट फॉलोज द रिप्रेसिव मेजर्स, दैट अ फुल सिविल डिसोबीडियंस कैंपेन would be launched. Civil disobedience is little different from the non-cooperation. The non-cooperation says not to cooperate with the Britishers, while the civil disobedience says to disobey the rules of the Britishers. Right? So in case if the non-cooperation movement was being suppressed by the government, then a full CDM or civil disobedience campaign would be launched. And through the summers of 1920, Mahatma Gandhi and Shaukat Ali toured extensively, right? They toured all over the India and mobilized popular support for the movement. They wanted all of Indians to know about this non-cooperation movement and mobilize the Indians' support. But there was a problem. Many within the Congress were, however, concerned about the proposal. Why they were concerned about the proposal? They have a problem. They were reluctant to boycott the council election scheduled for November 1920. There were many leaders in the Congress who believed that the council election is a way to bring reform in India. They wanted to oppose the Britishers in the imperial legislative council itself. That is why they were reluctant to boycott the elections, right? And they feared that the movement might lead to popular violence, right? They have this fear also that if we will boycott all of these things, so a popular violence may happen. And in the months between September and December, these were an intense tussle within the Congress. Congress itself was being divided on this issue of supporting boycott of the legislative council election or reluctance to boycott the council election. For a while, there seemed no meeting point. It seemed that there is no meeting point for this problem. But finally, at the Congress session at the Nagpur in December 1920, a compromise was worked out and the non-cooperation program was being adopted. How did the movement unfold? Who participated in it? How did different social groups conceive the idea of the non-cooperation? All of these issues, answers of these questions we will discuss in the next subunit as well as in my next video. Right, here if we'll talk about, now look at this figure. This is the figure 4, the boycott of the foreign cloth. Right, foreign cloth was also being boycotted. Right, you can see this image, the boycott of foreign cloth, July 1922. Now what you need to remember in this subunit, that there are 5 map works we have discussed. The 3 idea of Satyagraha, the 3 experiment of Gandhiji with the Satyagraha, 1916, 1917 and 1918. Respectively in Champaran, Bihar, Kheda district of Gujarat as well as in Ahmedabad, Gujarat. Now if you look at the first Congress session that happened in this subunit or the chapter that we are studying, the September 1920 session, and in the September 1920 session it was being convinced to have a non-cooperation Khilafat movement and bringing Hindus and Muslims together to fight against the Britishers. And second session was there of Nagpur. This happened in December 1920, and the motive of this session means in this session the people of the Congress came to a final decision, a final solution of boycotting the council election. Before that there were clashes. What does boycott means? This is another word, new word, the refusal to deal and associate with the people or participate in activities or buy and use things, usually a form of protest. Right, now our first subunit has been finished. In the next video I would start the subunit 2 explanation also. Follow all my instructions that I would give regularly on time. In case if you have any doubt, any problem, message me or message in the group. Thank you so much.